Hello, everybody. Welcome to Flicker Effect. Quick note before this episode starts. So for the last 10 minutes of this episode, which we recorded last night, we discussed a news item pertaining to the showrunners for Westworld and how they were planning to deal with theories and spoilers surrounding this upcoming season, which starts at the end of this coming month. Well, since we recorded the episode, it has come to light that what they were planning was basically not true, or they were basically trolling us. They released a video about what they plan to do, and don't worry, if you go to watch the video, it doesn't contain any spoilers, but we'll include a link to that video in our show notes. So listen to our discussion about it. You'll see what I'm talking about, and then check out the video. It's pretty hilarious. So considering we just talked about this last night and now it's turned out to be completely false and they were just screwing with us and trolling us, I thought I would just kind of throw this note on here and let you know. Anyway, thanks for listening to the show and enjoy episode 250 of Flicker Effect. It is Monday, April 9th, 2018, and welcome to Flicker Effect. This is episode 250.
250 episodes.
Wow.
I have no idea where that came from.
Wow.
I was going to say that wasn't planned.
250 is a lot of shows, a lot of talking about movies and TV and pop culture.
That is a lot of shows, 250.
And loving every minute of it. Loving every minute of it.
Of course.
250, man.
This is why we do it.
Yeah.
I think I've only been around for like half of them.
I was going to say, have you been around? I don't think you've been doing it since halfway, have you? I don't know. I don't know. 250 anyway.
I haven't been
Good
counting.
trivia question.
Yeah. That involves some research.
I haven't been counting. I have no idea.
Anyway, by the way, everybody, I'm David Lotz. Joining me this episode is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, everybody. What's up?
Jascha Wilson.
Hey, everyone.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
All right, guys, we've got some box office numbers to talk about this week. But first, I want to start things off by talking about this new Star Wars trailer, Solo, A Star Wars Story. We got a new trailer for this last night.
Oh, hey.
And since we weren't able to record on Sunday and we're recording on Monday instead, hey, we get to talk about it instead of waiting for a week to talk about it. So I want to jump right into it, guys. We all watched it almost. Jascha, I believe you're not watching this one, are you?
I'm holding out right now. I mean, I'm going to actually base my opinion or decision on whether or not I should watch it after I hear your guys' review. As of right now, I don't need to watch it.
Okay.
I will make a game time decision. Maybe I'll get weak, but I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch the movie. So I'm interested to hear what you think of the trailer, David, you particularly, and moving forward, I'll make a decision based off of that.
Okay. Well, screw it. I guess I can go first then. Why not? Yeah. So, Solo, A Star Wars Story, new trailer. What did I think? What?
Sorry, I was just thinking, so initially when this whole project started, you were kind of like, do we need this?
Oh, no, the whole time I've been, no, we do not need a Han Solo backstory kind of film. No, I wasn't a fan of the idea of seeing someone else play the role. That was the big one for me. I also just wasn't thinking that, hey, I don't need to know any more about the history of Han Solo. Like, I'm good with what we know about him. I like that there's some mystery there about what he's been through in his life before we encounter him in A New Hope. I'm like, you know what? I feel like you really run the risk of then you go digging into, how did he become this way? And it just kind of, I don't know, not cheapens it, but
I get it. So the trailer.
So yeah, the trailer. Overall, I was pretty happy with the trailer. I think the trailer looked pretty good. I would say, for as skeptical as I've been about the movie, as you just referenced, Michelle, overall right now I'm excited about the movie. But some of the things I'm concerned with about the movie still exist, mainly Alden Ehrenreich. I'm still unsure about that guy as Solo. I still, even in this trailer, even though this is the best I think we've seen of him yet, there's a couple moments in the trailer I like with some of the dialogue he delivers. Overall, I'm not completely buying into him being Han Solo, but the trailer looks solid. I feel like, okay, so before going into anything we knew about this movie, I was like, okay, a Han Solo movie, that's super important that this guy be Han Solo. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. But the more we're seeing of it, the more it really seems like this is a big ensemble film that, yeah, it's named after him. And yeah, he is, I guess, the centerpiece of this. But I feel like they've made a movie where the broader cast plays even a bigger role than maybe I thought they were going to. So it seems like it's going to be a really good movie. I keep hearing these things about how this script, compared to all other Star Wars scripts, was a really solid, great script. So hearing that, seeing this trailer, it has me pumped. I have a feeling the movie's going to be really good. I have a feeling I'll walk out of it and go, man, that was a really great movie. I really enjoyed it, and I'm still not buying into him as Solo. But yet I'll probably still enjoy the movie. Does that make sense?
Well, he definitely has his work cut out for him. I mean, it's not like he's taking over just another role, like a little bit part. This is like just as an iconic role to me as it is like Luke is affiliated with, the Star Wars stories and saga.
Right.
Yeah, maybe surrounded about him, but he was definitely such an integral part and a fun part. I mean, every kid that was in love with Star Wars that I can think of probably had a Millennium Falcon. Everybody played with one. Right. Everybody loved Han Solo. And then as he grew older, the mysticism of him just grew as well. Who shot first, Han or Greedo? It was just like everything about this character screams Star Wars. So, for him to just jump in, I mean, he's a fantastic actor. I think he's really good from what I've seen of him. I'm really interested to see how he does with this role and taking on such an iconic role.
I also feel like, as we've all been saying, and this trailer doesn't change anything, it just makes it more apparent that I think Donald Glover is going to be amazing as Lando in this. I also am excited about seeing Chewie in this, especially after this trailer. It feels like this movie, Chewie's going to be really good in it, and it'll be cool to see a movie where he has a lot of screen time and even more than maybe what we've seen him in past Star Wars films. I'm excited about Chewie in this movie too. So overall, I'm excited about the movie. And like I said, I think Alden Ehrenreich, maybe I'm buying into it a little more, but I still have a feeling I'm going to walk out of the theater and go, man, that was a great movie, really good story. But, I don't need to see him as Solo ever again. I'm fine. I have a feeling and I don't think we probably ever will. I think this is going to be a one-time thing.
Yeah, one and done.
And maybe he might pop into another random, Star Wars film that happens to fit into that era. But I don't even know if that would happen. I think this will be a one-time thing. Bobby, I'm curious to know what you thought.
It's not too much different than what you were saying, David. It's. I didn't really feel like I needed to have this extra trailer to be sold on it, because I knew I was going to go see it no matter what. It's a Star Wars film. I did want to see a little bit more of what we would see from Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and as you said, I'm kind of still on the fence in terms of whether or not I'll feel like he's Han Solo, but I'm willing to give the whole movie a shot. And I feel like I'm going to have to watch it twice, just off the basis of the first time I see it, I'm going to be too much caught up in him and seeing what he's doing as Han Solo. And then maybe by the second time, I can get on the same page as whatever his portrayal seems to be, as long as it feels like the character, and get past certain aspects of it and really sort of fall into whatever it is he's doing as the character, because everything around it looks great to me. And it looks like you said, with Chewie being prominent, and you got Lando in there, and some new characters that might be some new favorites after watching the movie. So everything else about the movie looks like it's hitting on all the different points and cylinders that I would expect a Star Wars movie to have. And I just think that lately I've been seeing other people talk about this movie, and they've all seemed to have the same consensus of that. Even though the movie's called Han Solo, that more than likely you're going to go for the other aspects and enjoy the other aspects. And it's almost as if people are already writing off the performance of Aaron Reich as Solo. And it's such a weird thing, because he's playing the title character. So it's not like I want to just give him a pass on it, because he was chosen to play this role. So of all the hundreds of actors that they decided to audition, he got the role. So he, to me, better be able to be Han Solo. So I can't really give him a pass and just say the rest of the movie is good, but he was not that good. I mean, it's like if you're Jay-Z and you have a song with Eminem on your track, and Eminem outshines you on your own track, then I can't give you any props there. I mean, it's like you can't go and do something and then have everybody else shining, you not shine, but it's your own thing. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm still going to be looking for him to give me a performance that I can come away feeling like, hey, that was Han Solo, and that made the film as good as it should be, as opposed to like the position of when you went to go watch Black Panther, and some people were saying, Black Panther wasn't really the star of his own movie, it was some of the other characters. Well, at least we had Black Panther before, so we knew what we were getting. So it was all these other people had their shine, and it was like these extra treats of seeing these other people in the movie. So it's a different story compared to the Solo, where you're expecting this guy to be able to portray this character in a way that is satisfactory to people who are going to come away watching this movie. Because to me, it seems like, even though they've never said this, I feel like after seeing this trailer and just what the sense of it feels like, I think that if the movie did good, they could base a trilogy or a series off of these characters and different adventures, because the actors are all young enough to be able to portray these characters for a few more years. And it just seems like it would be a good side trilogy for them to have, with Han Solo adventures kind of thing. But I think some of it is going to be dependent upon whether or not they can pull it off successfully, and part of that does hinge on his performance. So I'm still very curious to see if I'll be able to sink into it and follow the performance and really get on board with what he's doing, and hope that everything else surrounded supports it just as well, as opposed to outshining it, I guess.
Right. Michelle, you've watched it as well. What'd you think?
I mean, quite honestly, like I'm down with this film, and I feel like this trailer kind of sealed the deal for me in a lot of ways. I'll go real quick right out. Like when it comes to Alden Ehrenreich with being Han, I'm trying to be positive on this, and I'm saying I'm trying to be positive because I've seen what Ehrenreich can do. Like you watch Hail Caesar, and I'm like, the kid's got it. Like he's got it. He's got the stuff. I'm trying to be positive that he's going to do as best of a job as he can filling in these shoes, which are really, really, really big. So I'll put that aside. But kind of like what David was saying, you know, like I feel like you're going to see more people in this, and I think you're going to realize the storyline is just so much bigger than just Han. And I mean, I know we all kind of already seen Donald Glover as Lando, and we've seen Woody Harrelson pop up and Emilia Clarke, but I think we got to see a little more of Tandy Newton pop up in this one. And honestly, I haven't gone to IMDb before this trailer dropped, but the trailer dropped and it was like, oh, dude, Paul Bettany's in this? Like, I didn't know because I hadn't looked at it, and I was just like, oh, awesome, you know? And so, like, little things like that kind of popped in. And then there's definitely... there's a robot unit in there that I was curious to look at, and it's L337 or L337, I guess is how you say it. I don't know how they say it in the film. I wasn't paying that much attention to the trailer, but it's played by an actress, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. The few lines that she gives in the trailer, I'm like, ooh, she's a sassy little robot, this one. It's gonna be an interesting with the cast. So I think there's gonna be just a lot more to the story than just, oh, look, it's about Han Solo. It's going to be about everything else going on around him. He's almost going to be, like, thrust into the situation, it seems like, which is fine. Like, it looks entertaining as hell. This gives me a lot of... I hate to say it gives me Rogue One feelings, because this is definitely a different storyline, but I feel like looking at the visuals and the way this is done, I'm like, this has been done really well. They put some serious time and effort into this. Surprisingly, considering how short of a time frame it seems like it was, it looks really good. Like, it looks really well done and thought out and planned out. So yeah, I'm down with this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where the storyline goes. Like, there's that quick moment where, like, and then again, you guys were saying, like, I feel like Chewie's gonna have a really big role in this, and we're gonna see much more Chewbacca than we ever did, because I think, you know, I feel like we got a lot of Chewbacca in the other films. I think the most was probably, as far as any information, was really Revenge of the Sith. And that's where they basically blow up his home planet, right? That was in the Revenge of the Sith, right?
I haven't seen Revenge of the Sith in so long. I try to forget it. No,
but that's where they basically annihilate his entire species.
They enslave his planet.
That's right. Yeah. So, I mean... You know, I feel like up until then, you really haven't gotten a lot of feel for what Chewie is about and who he is. And there's a moment where he's hugging another one of his species. And I feel like I remember there was a point he definitely had, I'm going to say, partner at some point in his life, a major partner. And it was a smaller build, so I'm assuming it's a female version. I don't know. It just looked interesting. I was just like, oh, wow, I feel like we're going to get to know a little bit more about Chewie and his background a smidge more than we have really to this point, which I think is kind of cool, honestly. Not that, like, I need to know Chewbacca's life story, but it was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. Going to see a little more about who he's about.
Sounded like you were going to say something about that, Bobby.
Yeah, just a little bit. If you were to, you're right, Michelle, you don't know much about Chewbacca, but I mean, not you specifically, but in general, people don't know much about Chewbacca. But if you, if anyone were to read the Aftermath books, I think there's in the second book of that series, a large portion of it takes place on Kashyyyk, and you get to learn a little bit more about Chewbacca and his family and stuff like that in that book. So when they showed the other Wookiee, I was surprised, and pleasantly so, just because of having read that book and knowing a little bit more about Chewbacca's background. I was like, oh, they'll be awesome if they get to show some more of what Chewbacca's all about.
Yeah.
Out in his background in this movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, even just that split second in this trailer, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Like, there's another Wookiee happen. I'm like, huh. Like, it's interesting, because I feel like we don't have any real information. And even in the trailer, like Han is translating for him, and he even says his age, and I'm like, geez. And it's one of those things, like, I feel like everybody knows kind of in a weird way that Chewie's old. Like, his species lives a ridiculously long amount of time. I think we kind of just know that through, I don't know what reasons, but then he says his age, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, if he's that age at this point in the storyline, Chewie's old. But anywho, so no, I'm looking forward to it. The trailer looks great. I think the film is going to do really well, and I'm looking forward to it. What is that, May 25th?
Yeah, I think that's the date.
I can take a look at that. Let me find out. Yep, May 25th.
May 25th is
I'm
right.
not crazy.
You
Hey,
win.
look at that. Okay. So yeah, no.
So yeah, Jascha, I'd recommend watching it.
I would too.
I don't think I definitely don't regret watching it. I definitely didn't walk away from it going, oh man, now I've seen too much or anything like that. Like,
I'll say though, if another one comes out, I don't know if I'll watch the other one though.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I probably wouldn't, but
I'm good.
All right, well, you guys kind of sold me, like, even before you got to start talking. The fact that everybody kind of gave it a glowing review, and not in the sense of like, oh my god, it looks amazing, but just the fact that it was all positive. Yeah, all right, I'll watch it. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't ruin anything. I'll definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like, it looks crisp, and I feel like there's I don't know. I feel like it gives you a really good feeling for what the film's about, and but without giving away a lot of information. If anything, kind of raising more questions, which is good. Like, I want that to happen. So, yeah, no, it's good. We'll see what Ron Howard does. May 25th.
Soon, May 25th.
Very soon.
All right, let's talk about some box office numbers from this past weekend. Our top 5 films at the box office. Starting at number 5, Tyler Perry's Acrimony at the number 5 spot in its second weekend release. Dropped about 51%, pulled in $8.3 million this weekend. At number 4, Black Panther, still up there, of course, pulling in $8.7 million this weekend in its 8th week in release. As we talked about last episode, we knew this was about to happen, and indeed, this past week, it overtook Titanic for the overall box office domestic numbers. So that puts it at the number 3 spot, I believe, of all time, behind Avatar and Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Man, just let that sink in for a second. Like,
that's how that shit works.
Man.
So impressive.
Yeah,
domination.
Impressive.
Domination.
Number 3, a new release this weekend was Blockers, a new comedy pulling in a little over 20 million. So I, for whatever reason, never saw a trailer for this until like a day before the movie like released, or like 2 days out.
Really?
Yeah, it came up. Michelle we were hanging out, and she brought up something about it, and I'm like, you know what? I still don't think I've seen this, and
Which is crazy because I feel like I sent the trailer to everybody in our group.
yeah, I never watched it, I guess. 'Cause
I'm glad you pay so much attention to our
Indeed, I
messages.
watched it that night, and I'm like, yep, I've definitely never seen this, and I think I'm good. Like, I watched that trailer, I thought it looked, and I'm gonna use the F word. I thought it looked fucking terrible. There was nothing about that trailer that I was like, oh my god, that could be funny. Like, I don't know what it was about it. I'm like, this looks really bad, like terribly bad.
Zero redeeming value for
Absolutely
you.
zero. I don't know what it was about it, and then I would like. I watch other, I watch movie news on YouTube and read some stuff, and I see other people like, oh yeah, I'm excited about Blockers, and I'm like, did I watch like the really shitty version of the trailer for this? Because I mean, everyone seems like excited about it, like, oh, it looks like it's gonna be really funny, and blah. I'm like, does it though? Like, I really don't think it does.
I feel like the most redeeming thing out of this film, and I have not seen it, was literally the cocktail that AMC like created for it that you and I actually had for Ready Player One.
Yeah, AMC always kind of have like a featured cocktail based on a movie that's out. When we happened to go see Ready Player One, instead of having a Ready Player One cocktail, they had a Blockers cocktail. And I mean, which makes sense, I guess.
They called it the Blocker tail, or
I don't remember, but it was actually pretty good.
it was actually quite delicious. I'll give AMC that.
I will say Blocker seems to be doing okay for itself critically, but Bobby, you've seen it, so I'm curious to know, how was it?
Oh man.
Yeah,
Bobby, you went to go see this movie?
yeah. Why do you sound surprised?
I don't know. I don't know why, but I just didn't think that you would really go and see this. Like, I mean, I would, because I watch anything, and like, I don't know. I felt like you might have the same opinion as David, where it's just like, yeah, no, why would I waste my time on that movie? So, but anyways, go ahead.
Yeah,
I mean, I want to see it. I'm one of those people that I do want to see it. I want to take the time to see it. I definitely probably will see it maybe next Sunday.
Well, I guess I had the opposite reaction to David, because I saw the trailer and while I wasn't barreling over and doubling over in laughter, I thought there was definitely some fun and funny aspects to the trailer enough to make me think that like the movie itself had even more contained than just what was in the trailer. And I'll say that the movie is okay. It was. I think your mileage will vary in terms of how funny you think it is. Because I absolutely laughed at some scenes in the movie. There was a few times where I did laugh, very much so at some of the things going on. But overall, the comedy and humor didn't land for me in the way that I thought it was going to. So it was just kind of like, okay, it's the movie itself is okay if you just like take out the jokes itself and you're just following. And it does have sort of an American Pie vibe to it, but maybe from a female perspective, I guess. But it's not bad. I definitely wouldn't say it's bad at all or terrible or anything of that nature. It's just wasn't for me as funny as I was hoping it was going to be. And I think that for other people, it just may be exactly what you're looking for. To me, I still say that Game Night is a funnier movie than this was. And also Girls Trip from last year was funnier to me than this was. But yeah, so maybe if you see something of that nature and then try and come into this, it may falter, but on its own merits. If you're just in a mood and you think like the what the trailer showed you was funny enough, I'd say go see it because you might still enjoy it and have a good time with it. But I would just say it was just okay for me.
Would you say that the trailer that I've seen, I think it's really the only cut of the trailer out there.
You saw the main trailer.
Would you say that trailer does a good job of representing the movie, or is the movie kind of different from that trailer? You know what I mean? Like sometimes trailers can, you think it's one kind of movie, then you're seeing like, oh wow, that trailer really didn't represent it well at all.
No, I would say it's on track with what you see in the movie in terms of what you see in the trailer. I think it does a good job of representing the totality of the type of humor and the situational comedy that's in the movie throughout.
Cool. All right. Yeah, because I've been hearing overall pretty good things about the movie, which I've been finding very surprising considering how much I hated that trailer. Like it's got an 82% right now on Rotten Tomatoes.
82%.
Reading the critics' consensus on here, I'm like, that sounds like a solid movie. I'll read it. Blockers puts a gender-swapped spin on the teen sex comedy, one elevated by strong performances, a smartly funny script, and a surprisingly enlightened perspective.
Yeah, but
I would say I'm really interested in seeing it because I want to see John Cena. Like, that guy to me has a comedic timing down pretty good. When I've seen him do funny stuff, it's pretty spot on and it makes me laugh. So I'm really interested to see what this character's like in the movie.
He kind of faltered to me in this movie. I've seen him in other movies where his comedic timing was better, and this one it just seemed, maybe it was the character he was playing, I don't know, but it just didn't seem like he was the least funniest person to me in this movie, I guess. So I don't know if it was just his. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but maybe, like I said, it might have been his character. And he had some funny stuff, but I just thought like maybe he was more the weak link in this one.
Oh, that's disappointing to hear.
All right, so yeah, that's Blockers, number 3 at the box office this weekend with, like I said, about $20.5 million. And number 2 was Ready Player One in its second week. It only saw about a 41% drop, so it's holding on pretty well. Seems like word of mouth is probably doing pretty well for that film. Sorry?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll
it pulled in about 24.6 million. Yeah, that was it. Bobby, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that worldwide, it's made, I think, just around 400 million. And I remember reading at the time, the week that it was coming out, somewhere in an article, they were saying that the movie would need to make about 453 million to break even. So at 400 million, and it's been doing really well overseas, I think it's going to be a profitable film in the end for them, for Warner Brothers. So that's good. Especially considering that we liked the movie and was hoping that it would do better and wouldn't get buried underneath all the other movies that's been coming out here in the States. So I'm glad that it's found its legs and footing overseas, even if it didn't necessarily go and keep moving as big here. Although with that drop, that's not bad. But next week we've got Rampage coming out, and then it just keeps going. So it's eventually going to shuffle out of that top 5, and hopefully it keeps going strong overseas while they're still waiting to get some of these other bigger movies.
Right. Now, with that said, we all talked about it on our last episode. Jascha, you weren't able to join us for that. Have you seen the movie yet?
Which movie?
Ready Player One?
Yes, I did see that movie. I thought I did join it. I'm pretty sure I was a part of that podcast. Didn't we talk about that?
No.
So
Jascha has some awesomely vivid dreams, man.
Jascha was on these other podcasts talking about
What other podcasts are you on, Jascha?
No, I would never do that to you. How dare you? Never in a million years. Maybe I just thought about it a lot, or maybe I just talked about it to one of my friends, and I could have sworn we talked about it. But no, I did get a chance to see Ready Player One.
Well, tell us about it now, sir.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I actually dragged my girlfriend to go see the movie. It was a really,
sad. Dragged her.
It was a real hard sell because I was trying to tell her about what the premise of the film was, and the look of her on her face was this like whole Scooby-Doo cocked head, like what you want me to go watch? You want me to watch what with you? And I was like, so it's like, this whole internet world, and the guy that created it, like, he died. And so there was a competition for us to get, the good guys to get the internet, and the bad guys wanted the internet. And she's just looking at me like, are you fucking serious? And like, for lack of a better word, that's essentially what we were going through.
She did not realize the depths of your nerdiness until that exact moment. Like, she always knew. She's like, it's deep. But she went, oh, my Lord.
It was hardcore. It was deep. The geekdom was strong that day. The nerd was just very, very, very out there. And there was no hiding it or denying it, because it was just kind of like looking at it, like, you sure you want to be with me? Because this is really deep. Anyways. She went and saw it. She actually was like, oh, that wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. The way you described it didn't, do it really justice. So I was like, I know, I didn't do it justice. So anyways, I actually read, quote unquote, / listened to the book on my way home during my commute. So I have the unique experience of going into this film, expecting something. And then once I saw what I did, being kind of disappointed in what I wanted to see, like, and what I was expecting. And I know this happens a lot when people read a book and then go and watch the movie, and I know things are changed. That being said, I enjoyed it a little bit. I thought it was decent, but that's about as far as I can go with it. I want to watch it a second time and just kind of watch it and enjoy it for like the special effects and kind of get to the story. But I felt like the story really missed a lot when it came to some of the challenges and the drama that these characters were having, and the connection that some of these characters were having, like Artemis and Percival, like their whole like dynamic. I felt like that was very cheapened and very shortened. I'm not even going to get into Daito, and I don't remember the other one's name. Yeah. And that, but it was a decent film. Like I said, I kind of want to watch it again and just try to go in there with an open mind and like not really expect what I was, what I had read in the story. But I mean, aside from that, some of the scenes were very, very cool. Very, very video game, with like the shortcuts and the back doors and, the racing and stuff like that. That was actually pretty cool. And that was neat, but I just felt like some of the scenes that they changed didn't really fit with what I was hoping for from the story. And it wasn't, it wasn't as conducive to the story that I got a chance to, experience when it came to the book. I felt like some of the characters were really shortened when it came to their depth. And, I understand that that's something that happens when you transfer a book to movies, but for whatever reason, I just felt like, in some of the parts I was just kind of disappointed with that. So overall, I liked it, but like I said, I want to watch it again, but I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be.
I get that. Cool. All right. And then with our number one movie this weekend, that was A Quiet Place, new release this weekend, pulling in an impressive $50.2 million in its opening weekend. This is a movie with a budget of about $17 million.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo, Steve. Bravo.
Doing very well for itself. Bobby, you have already previously talked about this film on the podcast. You were lucky enough to see an earlier screening of it at WonderCon.
Lucky son of a so-and-so.
But the rest of us are seeing it with the normal people. We saw it this weekend.
Yeah, us average people.
Yeah, us average people get to see it with everyone else.
Common folks. Common folks.
The commoners.
Michelle and I have seen it. Josh, I don't think you've seen it yet, though. But
I have not seen it yet. I have not.
Michelle, what did you think of A Quiet Place?
I mean, it's hard to really talk about this film because so much of it would be so spoilery. But I'm just gonna say, like, basically, I've watched this film, and it ended. And I think I looked at you, because you and I saw it together, and I looked at you and I was like, if this is not in my top 10 at the end of this year, like explain to me why my mind has changed. Like, I was just like, this film was spectacular. It was excellent. It is probably one of the best, I hate to use the term, but scary movies I think I've ever seen. And I say that, and like, I enjoyed Get Out, and I don't really consider that really a scary film, I guess. But I don't know. God, that film was good. Like, the entire time I'm watching this film, and I'm just on pins and needles, and like, I feel like there's moments where it's like you relax and you kind of calm down, and you're like, oh man, shit's about to go down. And you start getting all tense again. And you feel your body tighten, and you're taking up less space in your seat because you're all tightened up. And then you kind of loosen up again, and then you tighten up again. And it was basically like that the entire time I was watching this movie. And I say that, and it was a really good feeling. Like, it's done so well. Like, John Krasinski, slow clap, dude. I can't believe this is your directorial debut. Like, you nailed it out the gate, dude. Like, the editing for this, the thought process that went behind this, and how much is in it, and just the performances were so good. Like, just so good. I mean, John Krasinski's performance was really good, and Emily Blunt, I thought, was quite spectacular. But I think quite obviously the standout was Millicent Simmons, who plays the daughter. And I can go into this, and but like, she was very, very spectacular in this film. Like, there's just moments your heart just like, like, it just catches, and you're like, oh, I'm still beating, right? There's still blood going through because I can't really breathe oxygen, so I'm making sure things are, like, it's just so good. Like, everything was, it's the way the story rolls out and put together and links back together. Like, it was just that good. And I would be very hard pressed to see this not in my top 10 come the end of this year. And that's what I got. Like, I just, yeah, my praises are very high and very mighty, and I'm excited to see this film again, quite honestly. So yeah, that's what I know.
Yeah, I saw the film as well. I don't know what else is there to say. I thought the film was excellent. It was hands down, easily, it's the best movie I've seen so far this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Not even close for me. And I say that, obviously, we've had some great movies like Black Panther, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this movie was just excellent. And it's one of those movies too that there's a lot of great movies and I still like, oh, but this little thing, maybe I would have changed that or changed this. There's nothing about this movie that felt like a fault to me at all. It completely worked for me. I think it clocks in at only like an hour and 30 minutes, and
it's quick.
It's perfect timing. Doesn't need to be any longer. Trust me, I'm not going to talk about any spoilers, but I was happy with the ending of this film. There were times that I felt like this movie could have gone down different paths. I love the path it went down, including the ending. It could have been a movie with I'll just say a very different ending, and I loved the ending of the movie. And it's a great film. I can't recommend it enough. But yeah, like I said, without talking about spoilers, it's not like there's much more I'm going to say, but I thought it was excellent. It's funny, I was reading one article about it, and it randomly referenced the cinema score rating for the film, which I don't really pay attention to cinema score much.
I don't.
And after this, I'm like, really? Like, what the fuck is the deal with cinema score sometimes? Like, it pulled in a B+.
Really?
It's funny. I'm looking at. I'm like, 50 Shades Freed got a B+. Like, what else got a B+? Death Wish got a B+. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is? Anyway, I just thought that was randomly odd when I came across that. But anyway,
Peter Rabbit has an A- on there. Are you shitting me right now with this?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's got an A-. Yeah, I don't know. But
you all should be happy we're not doing video tonight because my face is just there's a lot happening here.
But yeah, I know Quiet Place was holding 100% for a little while there on Rotten Tomatoes. Right now it's at 97%. It's got 188.
And it deserves every
194 reviews total. But yeah, it's solid. I can't recommend this movie enough. It's so incredibly good. It should be pointed. You had mentioned Krasinski. This is actually his second film. He's directed one of the movie. But
I thought this was his first. I guess that was the first.
But still, it's only a second film, and a very different film from that first one. So I loved it.
Yeah, wasn't the first one like a romance or something like that?
It was an ensemble film, The Hollers, I think it's called.
Because we all rushed out to see that one, apparently.
Seeing the poster, I think I remember seeing the trailer for it.
Okay, I'm seeing that in 2016, The Hollers.
But anyway, Quiet Place. Go see it. There's a reason this movie made $50 million in its opening weekend. A movie that I don't think a few weeks back anyone would have predicted it would have pulled in this much in an opening weekend.
And I hope it continues to do spectacularly well. I really, really, really do. I hope this one catches on the way Get Out caught on. Like, I really hope this catches fire and just keeps pushing through like a slow, painful death, and everybody just is like, when will this movie ever leave? And I'll be like, it's never leaving, sons of bitches. It's staying forever because it's good.
Bobby, you saw it a second time this weekend. Any different thoughts after your second viewing?
I still loved it. I still think, like I said, the first time I saw it, I feel like this is an instant classic and a movie that as soon as it comes out, I just have to add it to my collection just because it's I'm a horror fan, and I think this just really provides those types of scares you want to see in a movie. It's the type of movie when you go see a horror movie, you want this type of tension that this movie delivers. And I think the first time and the second time, I did notice some things that I would have changed, and maybe some plot holes and stuff. But that doesn't detract from the quality of the film itself, and just the direction that John Krasinski was doing, and also the acting, as you guys mentioned, is just really so good, especially the kid actors. I mean, the little boy in the movie, you would think that there really are some creatures out there because he is so scared in this movie that you just think, like, what place did he have to go to in his mind, in his actor's mind, to look so scared and timid all the time? But he just did a great job as well. And I can't really add too much more than what you guys have said and what I've already said, but it's absolutely something that people should go see and should stick around in the theaters for quite some time.
So go see it, Jascha. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, that's the big story for everybody listening, is to go see this film and just sit back and enjoy the agonizing, spectacular horror of it all. Like, it's just...
Okay.
it's really intense, and it's very intense on such a mental level. Like, it's just got you constantly wrapped around its little finger the entire time. And I can't wait to watch this film again. I'm really excited too. And it's funny because, like, I watched this film, and David and I, when we see films together around the same time, we really don't talk about films. Like, we leave a film and it's pretty much like, so, I had a really good lunch today. Yeah, lunch was good. Yeah. How about that weather? Yeah, no. What about that storm? That was random. Yeah, wasn't it? Like, it's the most boring conversation after a film usually. And we left this film and it was silent for a long time. And we're walking out towards the parking lot. And finally I was like, dude, I gotta tell you, I'm throwing it out there. This was amazing. He's like, yeah, it really was. I'm like, no, this is gonna be in my top 10. And you said, I think the best quote, and this killed me. You said, if this is not in my top 10 at the end of the year, we've had a spectacular year of film if this doesn't make it in there. That's what you said. I
mean, yeah, it's early yet. It's only April, but I mean, yeah. If this movie's not in my top 10, and indeed, yeah, there are 10 films that are upcoming this year that holy shit, I can't wait to see.
Right. Like, they'd have to really be pretty freaking mind-blowing.
Yeah. I enjoyed it that much. So.
Yeah. So I think I started blowing up my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm like, people, get out and see this film. I cannot praise this film more. I literally, y'all need to go see it.
I saw a tweet from someone before I saw the film, kind of talking about the fact that he was like, I'm unsure if this is a movie you really should see in a theater because the movie can be so quiet so much and there's so insanely little dialogue in it. And his concern was like, and I don't know, I guess this may be based on a viewing that he had, but that, you're kind of at the mercy of being with an audience who maybe can't deal with the fact that the movie is so quiet, and it's going to be distracting if people are kind of reacting to that. And I thought about that. I'm like, oh, that might be kind of weird. And I'm going to go see it opening weekend. And sure enough, the theater we go to, they had it playing on a big screen, and it was a packed house. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, maybe we just had a good experience, but our audience was fantastic. Like,
it really was.
Everyone you could tell was really making an effort to be very quiet, because I remember even before the movie started hearing just a lot of the wrestling of, people and opening up their snacks or whatever they bought at the concession stand. And there was like really none of that going on during the film. And this isn't to say, that this movie is completely silent. There's actually a decent amount of score in this film by, I think it was Marco Beltrami, who did an excellent job on the score. But still, it is, especially with that lack of dialogue for the most part, it feels very quiet. And our audience was great. And it was kind of entertaining too when there would be kind of a jump scare, how much it would stand out then when somebody in the theater would react, and then everyone else kind of would react to that. It was actually pretty amusing, but
it made it more enjoyable in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like, to hear the one or two people go, "Oh my god, that," and you're like, and they quickly would settle down. It was that moment of like, total like loss of availability to like hold it in,
right.
And then they would very quickly like hone it back. So it was really entertaining though, because people were like, "Oh Jesus, oh God!" Like, you'd hear it, and it was entertaining, and yeah. But I liked it. It was good. We had a really great audience. I'm really glad we did. You probably could have heard a pin drop in there a few times. Quite honestly,
there was a lot of tension in that room.
There was a lot of tension. I was stressed.
I was kind of curious, like most of the way through that film, I'm like, it's gonna be really interesting once the movie finally ends, like the kind of reaction the theater will have, just because then people can feel like not only will the tension be over, but like, oh my God, I've got to make a noise now. I don't have to be so quiet.
I feel like there was a simultaneous, like, large, like, exhaling of breath,
right,
as the credits rolled. Everyone went, oh God, I can breathe again. Like a full full lung inhaling oxygen like breath. And I think that's what kind of everybody had that relief of like, oh, this is what a real like breath of air is, because everybody was just so tense and on edge, but in such a good way. It was such a good way, and I haven't felt that on edge in a film in a long time, and I enjoyed every bittersweet moment of it. I really did.
All right, so that's our box office numbers for this weekend. We've got a little bit of time left, so there was one topic I wanted to bring up. I'm kind of curious to talk to you guys about and hear your take on this. So, Westworld Season 2 is coming up.
Yes!
And we've talked about Season 1 a little bit here on the show, and I think we've referenced a few times how during Season 1, you know, there were a lot of theories that were circulating around TV and film news, and a lot of it originating from Reddit and other like fan communities for the show. And a lot of that stuff turned out to be true. I mean, basically Reddit and these other communities basically predicted the first season of Westworld. They pretty much nailed it. And a lot of that stuff I had read about while I was watching the season. I don't think it really took anything away from my experience. I still really enjoyed the first season of Westworld. And if anything, because I talked about how early on in that first season, I was kind of like unsure about the show. And then there was like that first theory I read that I was like, that's interesting. And it kind of pulled me in even a little more than maybe I would have. Like, I think either way, I still would have finished that first season, but part of me wonders, like, if I had never read anything, maybe would I have jumped ship at some point, you know, and just been like, I'm done.
I remember you and Jascha were both hemming and hawing around the same time frame.
Right. So Season 2's coming, and Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, showrunners for the show, have talked, I guess, in the past a little bit about how they hope to work with online theorists about the second season, because they really don't want anything spoiled. And during a Reddit AMA, Nolan revealed an interesting plan for this, which I'll just say I'm kind of curious first to hear what you guys think about this. I don't know. I have my own thoughts. His plan, if this Reddit post has enough upvotes, that their way, I guess, of dealing with people theorizing, which he feels these theories can actually be spoilers in his mind, that they will actually go ahead and spoil everything up front for those who want to know. And I guess with this in mind, for those people who do want to know and then can thus go ahead and look at what the plan for Season 2 is, they can be the kind of, I don't know, gatekeepers for trying to help decide like what can be talked about and what can't, I guess. Almost in the way he tries to explain it, and this is what doesn't quite work for me, is he compares it to Game of Thrones. You know, Game of Thrones, for the most of this show, those books already existed. And a lot of people have known about a lot of the spoilers that were coming up in that show way ahead of time because they had read those books. And none of that stuff was really spoiled for those of us who were watching it on HBO, had never read those books before. And I guess he feels like maybe if he does it this way, he'll have that same kind of effect. Like the people that do know about it will help protect the secrets, I guess. Am I making sense?
No, you're totally making sense. The thing is I don't think that's the same thing as just putting it out in the internet as in a book format. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Before we go on, I'll read one paragraph of what he said. I'll read this one quote. He said, "We thought about this long and hard and came to a difficult and potentially highly controversial decision. If you guys agree, we're going to post a video that lays out the plot and twists and turns of Season 2. Everything. The whole sword thing up front. That way, the members of the community here who want the season spoiled for them can watch ahead and then protect the rest of the community and help to distinguish between what's theory and what's spoiler." I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Bobby, what's your take on this whole thing? Do you think this will work or this makes sense?
I don't know if it'll work, but I find the whole thing fascinating just because it's never been done before. and it would be interesting as an experiment to see how it would go. I think that, like yourself, when I started watching season 1, I was listening to podcasts and reading articles and stuff. And the one podcast I was listening to, the female co-host on the show, she was having these theories, and every week they were like so spot on that I was like, man, this is, unlike you, this was kind of detracting for my enjoyment of the show a little bit, because I felt like I kind of knew what was going to go on, because she was so right every time. And it was just like, well, this is dang ridiculous. Like, maybe if she was off a little bit, or like, had some things wrong, but to be so right, then it was just like, this is pretty much spoilers at this point, because she's so good at predicting what's going to happen. And so I was just kind of like, well, I had made the decision after the first season that I wasn't probably going to listen to any podcasts or anything for season 2, because I would like some of this stuff, because my mind doesn't go to these different places that a lot of people theorize about, for whether it's a Star Wars movie or these types of TV shows in general. I'm usually just waiting for the storyteller to tell me their story, and I'm just taking it in as it's told to me. I don't try and figure it out. I'm not trying to be smarter than the show or trying to show that I can be as clever. I mean, if some things come into mind, so be it. But I'm not like literally trying to figure these things out. So I think it's interesting that this is something that they feel like they've kind of come to this decision of trying to do it. But ultimately, I want to see how it works as this sort of grand experiment. But ultimately, I think that you just kind of have to tell the story you want to tell. And if people out there are trying to figure it out and they are able to figure it out, so be it. And people who don't want to be spoiled by it will just stay away from those Reddits, and will just watch the show pure and go in pure, and without having to have a lot of the external conversations about it, unless you're just trying to talk about it with friends or so, and don't want to get into theorizing. So I really think that ultimately you can't be beholden into people who are able to think these things through and figure out these aspects and come to the same conclusions that you as a showrunner and writer are coming to. You just have to tell your story. But I do want to see, and just out of curiosity, how this will play out, and see if it helps deter people in any sort of way.
I'm curious what Jascha thinks, because I feel like Jascha was so very like up and down with the whole show as a whole, quite honestly, through this whole season. And I don't even think did you finish this?
I didn't even finish the season. Like, I just didn't. I got busy with something, and then I just never got a chance to really go back, or never actually had the desire to go back and finish it. That has since changed, because I've had so many people talk to me about the show, and when they find out that I didn't finish it, the consensus is usually like, "Oh, you didn't finish it?" And I'm just like, "No, dude, I didn't finish it." And it's like, all right, I guess I'll just take the time to finish it.
So now, what's your take on the whole spoilery section? Like, what do you think about this? Like, finding out how it's going to plan out. Like, I'm curious what your take is, only because you don't even know how the first season even ends. So I'm wondering, like, do you want to watch the rest of it and then like find out like what the hell happens? Like, are you a spoilery? Like, what are your takes on this?
I'm interested to see how this plays out. I'm kind of like Bobby kind of summed up what I was thinking about it. To me, I just feel like they're kind of trying to detour a lot of the clicks or the cast from Reddit, or maybe take some of their fans and just be like, hey, if you really want to know what's going on, we'll tell you, in regards to spoiler alert or whatever, or if there's going to be some sort of partnership, like you said, or whatnot, and that type of thing. It'd be interesting to see if that works, and if they're able to contain it like to just what they want, but instead of having people take it and then be like, okay, so this is what's going to happen on Westworld. If you want to know, you can click on our site, or what the deal will be when it comes to that. So I don't know. Like, me personally, I'm not a spoiler guy. Like, I'm going to want to finish the first season before I start watching the second season. And I'm definitely not going to really be interested. I'll watch a trailer and, when it comes to new movies like that type of thing. But as far as like the entire plot for the series, like, if I know what's going to happen, I'll just be like, okay, well, that's cool. And then I'll just leave it at that. But I won't go back and watch it. I know myself. Like the likeliness of me actually wanting to go back and watch it after I already know what's going to happen might be slim to none, just because it's like, I mean, okay, so I get to watch the actors portray it, I get to watch the special effects, but if I already know where it's going, like, I don't really see myself wanting to watch it.
All right.
I mean, I'm with you, Bobby. I find this fascinating because we've never seen anything like this, and I'm really just curious to see how this plays out. And though his comparison to Game of Thrones, I get where he's going with that, but it's just not the same. Like, Game of Thrones those were books that existed, people read them, so the show comes around and those people they've already read them, but they're there to kind of, hey, we're going to keep all this stuff secret for all of our friends who are watching this show and they've never experienced this, and oh my god, that episode's coming up, I'm going to film their reactions because their minds are going to explode,
right.
But they already read the books because they want to read the books. Like, I don't think anyone, I'm not saying, I know someone will watch this video that he will, I guess, make that reveals this season. But I would like to think a lot of those people who were theorizing on Reddit about the first season as it was happening were enjoying the season as it was happening. They just enjoyed also theorizing about it. And I totally get that. Like, I'm like you, Bobby. I don't really try to think of that stuff on my own. Like, while I'm watching something, I like to just enjoy it and take it in. And yeah, maybe if something pops into my head, I usually just kind of keep it to myself. And I'm like, okay, maybe, but I don't really do a lot of theorizing myself. But I'd like to think most of those people also enjoyed the show and experiencing it. They just like to kind of guess, like, hey, I think this is what's going to happen, guys. And that doesn't mean they're going to want to go and watch a spoiler video about it beforehand and then help like guard those secrets throughout the season. I just don't really see that happening. I'm just wondering how many people will really want to take part in that, That's where I don't completely buy into this actually working. I still think you're going to get people that are going to theorize, and I don't think there's going to be enough people that are going to be there to like kind of label all that stuff as spoiler. Like,
right. Like, I don't think people are gonna take into effect there's spoilers. They're gonna start discussing things, and I don't know, it's just different. I feel like it's just different. I feel like if you compare it to Game of Thrones, people read these books and they read them well in advance, and I think they went into the show knowing that, yeah, overall it's going to follow what the books did, but obviously at some point it does deviate and goes does its own thing. This just seems, it's just different to me. And I feel like whatever, storyline they reveal, they're going to discuss it. And then their theories aren't even really theories. It's more facts. Like, they're going to be discussing this in the open. And I don't know. Like, I'm a person, I like to just enjoy it as it goes. Like, I don't need... And yeah, maybe I'll have my own speculations and I'll think about things and whatnot, but I'm just not that person that needs to know before I watch it. Like, I might go, oh, well, maybe this is what this is. Oh, maybe, well, we'll see. Okay. And like, I like the surprise of the reveal. And I feel like if people are constantly reading up and finding out what's going on, like, they're going to talk about it so much on social media, it's just going to blow up to a point that I'm going to be like, well, I'm not getting to enjoy it the way I want to enjoy it. I just don't think people are going to respect this the same way they do is when people read a book. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, the
people that read a book, they had an experience just with that book.
Right.
This is different with somebody just, well, the showrunner's going to lay it out for me. Like, I don't know. I think the big difference this season will be how news outlets / bloggers, movie and TV websites like report on these theories. Like, because that first season, that's how I picked up on some of that stuff. Because, like you said, Bobby, I watch, YouTube videos, listen to podcasts, read film blogs, and they were reporting on these theories, and I found myself reading them. And I feel like this second season, especially considering how that first season turned out and how it happened to be that most of that stuff was true, I feel like a lot of those sites, a lot of those podcasts and such will maybe hold off on kind of reporting on that stuff, or at least do a better job of going, hey guys, we're going to talk about a Westworld theory. You might not want to read this, and I feel like they didn't do as good of a job of kind of labeling these things well that first season. And I feel like the second season, hopefully they will.
I would hope so. I mean, and I'll say, like, I did not watch the first season the entire time it was airing. I watched it well after the fact it was all done, said and done. I didn't go on to any websites. I didn't really pay attention when it was airing to random things that would pop up and say, like, my Facebook feed or whatever. But I will say, like, I would hope that people discuss this. They highlight spoilers. Like, I don't want to know these things. Like, it's not, I don't know. I don't. Like, I think that I really hope that they hold true to being like, oh, we're going to protect it and honor it. And we're really just we're going to see what people say. And we're just going to try to hone them in the right direction and not really spoil anything, but just maybe pull them back to the path of the way it's actually going.
Right.
I don't know. I'm very skeptical about this. It's not, I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm not a major fan.
Well, the deal with this, and I don't have the Reddit post in front of me right now as we're recording, but his deal was that if that Reddit post were to reach 1,000 upvotes, that's when he will then deliver the goods, as he says. He will post this video. In Reddit terms, 1,000 upvotes is not a lot. So
not at all, actually.
No,
knowing
1,000? That's not a lot.
Knowing the Reddit community
That's
and
like
how
sneezing
people
on the
just
internet.
kind of upvote things just almost out of habit, like, you know,
Right.
I can't see how it would not get 1,000 upvotes. So I feel like this is most certainly going to happen. Unless what?
Unless people really feel like you said, David, where they like theorizing, but they don't want to read or hear everything given to them, because that's half the fun for them, is making the theories and finding out if they're right. So maybe those types of people maybe won't upvote it just because they don't necessarily want to see that happen.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is that I think there's just going to be enough random people on Reddit that just tend to upvote shit that you're almost going to, I feel like you'd almost be, just because it's going to be a popular enough post anyway, it's almost like by default going to end up with that many upvotes. Like, I feel like you should have raised the bar a little higher to something that, like you're saying, you know, if enough people really didn't resist it upvoting because they don't want to kind of vote this in, you know, then maybe it wouldn't. But I feel like 1,000 is just too low. Anyway.
They're basically asking for this to happen.
I feel like you are, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway,
we're gonna.
It's like it sounds like they want to just release the information because, like I said, like you said, it's like 1,000 really isn't a lot, like in the grand scheme of things.
no, it's
Like,
nothing.
you can get 1,000 in Orange. You can get 1,000 in Orange County. Like, come on, man. Like, that's
Right.
All right.
nothing.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening. Reach out to us on Twitter at @flicker_effect. You can tweet us your questions or comments. You can also email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Flicker Effect. And we are out there. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Jascha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.